Good morning, Higher Hope. This is Tuesday, April 7th, and I just wanted to check in with you this morning on this, both when we're in quarantine and also on Holy Week. And I just wanted to kind of walk through Holy Week a little bit. One of the stories that catches us possibly off guard is the story of Jesus cleansing the temple. Now, a lot of people picture Jesus, and rightfully so, that he's just someone who's loving and full of grace and just healing people and doing miraculous things and just engaging people who are lepers and people who are caught in sin and that he is just someone who is relationally just full of love and grace. And yet there's another part of Jesus that ties directly. In fact, it really goes back to John 1, where it says that Jesus was full of grace and full of truth. And that's a hard tension to manage. We can be gracers, which means that we just want to love people and almost overlook some of the junk in their life. And then there's the truthers who have little grace and just point out the junk in people's life. And someplace Jesus was full. He wasn't even half and half. He was full of both. And so this story from Mark chapter 11 catches off guard because we talk so much about the full of grace side that we miss the Jesus who comes full of truth. And so this is how it goes. Mark 11:15 through 19 says that they came to Jerusalem, and he entered the temple and began to drive out those who sold those who brought, and he drove out those who sold and those who bought in the temple. He overturned the tables of the money changers and the seats of those who sold pigeons. And he would not allow anyone to carry anything through the temple. And he was teaching them and saying to them, "It is written, is it not written, my house shall be called a house of prayer for all nations, but you have made it a den of robbers." And so we see this Jesus coming into the temple, and he's actually another section of scripture says he created a whip driving out the animals, and he flips over tables. He's angry, He's money's flying on the floor, and he's causing such a ruckus in the temple. Now this is the temple, so it's not just a few people in and out. There's people who are there moving in and out. It's a very busy place, and he's stopping all the traffic, saying, "No, we're not doing this." And he does it for a reason, And one part of this is that it's okay to be angry, but the Bible says also, in your anger, don't sin. All right, there are things in our culture and our lives that should make us angry and frustrated, and that anger is a righteous anger. It's a just anger at times, and so feeling angry or upset about things that are unjust is not wrong. It's what you do with that anger. Now Jesus clears the temple. He's like, no more selling, and this is why. He says, "My house shall be called a house of prayer for all nations." He's like, I don't want I don't want people being blocked from coming into my house. I want people to experience me, and so he's frustrated because people aren't able to worship the way they need to worship. People were gouging on the sacrifices. They were making money in the midst of this, and this is where I want to land this morning. There are times in our life when we go through something where we need Jesus to come in and cleanse our temple. We need him to flip some tables. We need him to just drive some things out. We need him to change us, and it's not pleasant. And it often takes moments of chaos, moments of crisis, moments of frustration in us. Like it doesn't happen on good days when everything's flowing well. It happens in crisis. Jesus changes us in crisis. And so as we're walking through this period, I don't know exactly where you are in this crisis field this morning, um, but I am guessing that Jesus wants to make a change in your life. And Jesus is asking you to make changes in your life. And maybe this crisis, this time in our nation, God's going to use in your life to turn over some tables. And so here's the practice. Here's the direction that you need to head. Is if you could have a piece of paper and you start writing, just write some thoughts down, or maybe if you're going for a walk or a run, and say, "All right, Jesus, what needs to change in my life? What is keeping me from you? What am I doing that's keeping others from you? What do you want to change in me? And rather than fighting it and having Jesus having to change, turn over more tables, what if we partnered with him and said, "All right, Jesus, I surrender. I want just show me what you want to do in my life, and I'm willing to do it." But in order to get there, you need to have a little bit of self reflection, self knowledge, and so you have to be able to know where Jesus wants to change. So it's a God. Jesus is full of grace. You know, he wants you to understand that he loves you, and he obviously died on the cross for you. But he also wants you to know that there are things in your life that he died for to change, so that you can have wholeness and fullness. That he loves you that much not to leave you where you are. One of the phrases that we have is "Come as you are." You know, that's what we do to the cross. We come as we are, but we don't stay where we are. Jesus wants to change our life. And one of the ways he does that is through changing, turning over tables in our life.